On this episode of China Uncensored, why are seniors in China killing themselves? Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. You know, there was a time when China was known for its ancestor worship, a deep, abiding respect for the elderly. Here's what's happening in China today. That right there in the background, that's a bunch of coffins. Now, my first thought when I saw that photo was, the dead are walking! Sadly, my zombie survival training won't be put to the test. It turns out there's a rational explanation. And by rational, I mean crazy. As of June 1st, Anhui province has banned burials and is closing cemeteries. From now on, people may only be cremated. I'm not sure what the word is on being entombed in a crystal mausoleum like Mao. According to the China National Committee on Aging, there are over 200 million people in China over the age of 60. By 2050, a full third of China will be senior citizens. They're running out of room to bury everyone. So the government policy is that by the end of 2016, 80% of people must be cremated after they die. But some reports are saying that that's not really why officials here are banning burials. They're banning burials because of a fire last year started during burial ceremonies that got more than a dozen officials punished, dismissed, or forced to resign. But this is a serious problem, one that requires a gentle touch and proper care and consideration from authorities. Instead, authorities in Anhui went around to funeral parlors and homes, confiscating and smashing up their coffins to drive the point home. Apparently, in some rural areas, it's pretty common for people to buy their own coffins even decades in advance. They save up for years to afford their dream coffin. Considering that people take that much care into preparing their own burials, you'd expect authorities would give ample warning about the new legislation. They gave 2 months. On April 1st, Anhui officials announced that burials would only be allowed until the June 1st deadline. After which cremation would be the only option. For years, there's been a nationwide campaign encouraging cremation. Around the country, graves have been flattened to make room for farming and development. In 2012, officials in Henan destroyed 400,000 graves, which upset people across the country. Can someone please get these officials a bootleg copy of Poltergeist? Now, you have to understand, in traditional Chinese beliefs, cremation is horrifying. The body must be preserved. If that's hard to understand, imagine a new law that requires we place our dead to be eaten by predatory birds. That's actually a real practice. It's called sky burial. So what was the result of the burial ban? A large protest? No. Dozens of elderly people killed themselves so they could be buried before the law took effect. The larger issue is it's becoming terrifyingly common for the elderly to kill themselves. Traditionally, elder care was left for the children. But because of the one-child policy, many only children are unable or unwilling to support their parents. It's especially bad in rural areas where the older generation are left alone as their children try to find work in the cities. According to state-run People's Daily, as of January 2013, about half of China's elderly are alone, and only about a third of rural seniors are receiving financial assistance. Now, despite the government making laws that parents can sue their children if they don't visit, this has left many seniors in precarious situations, especially if illness is involved. State-run China Daily reported that elderly suicide has increased by 400% in the past 20 years. The president of the China Aging Development Foundation says the suicide rate of China's rural elderly is 4 to 5 times the world average. He also said in Hubei province, he even discovered suicide houses and caves set up to help people die. Liu Yanwu, a lecturer at Wuhan University's Department of Sociology, did field study research in 40 villages in 11 different provinces and found very casual attitudes towards increasingly common elder suicide. Typically, they're helped by their 3 sons: medicine, rope, and water. The problem, especially in rural areas, is that children leave home to look for work in the cities, becoming a part of China's fleet of migrant workers. Often that entails low pay and difficulty getting any time off work, let alone going back home to care for aging parents. On top of that, they usually have their own children to worry about. This leaves many seniors in desperate situations. With no government support and children unwilling or unable to offer assistance, they don't want to be a burden on their children and see suicide as the only way out. The cultural emphasis on children taking care of their parents is from a time when often 3 generations of family lived in the same house, and people weren't dealing with the isolation of modern urban living. People existed in a tight-knit community, and if someone was hurting, emotionally or otherwise, it was harder to fall through the cracks. There are people who are trying to solve this issue, from setting up suicide prevention hotlines to organizing events for seniors who are alone, but it's still hard for China's seniors to get the social, mental, and emotional support they need. And with how the current society is structured, it's not easy for a change to happen on a wide scale. So what do you think about the plight of China's elderly? What is the solution? Leave your comments below, subscribe, and check out the Facebook page for more. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.